And then I have a couple surprises for you on some ways that you could carry in your chonies if you wanted to. Not even kidding. I also wanted to show you kind of how I set up my EDC. That way you could take things from this video and be like, wow, never thought of that. Or maybe you could share with me some things that you've thought of that maybe I haven't down in the comments section. If you see anything in today's video that you might want to check out for yourself, I always create a list for everything that you're going to see in this video. Best way to find that is the first link in the description. I'll also pin that in the comments section for you. Now, in order to make your concealed carry experience to be the most comfortable and reliable system that you ever had, you really have to take your time on choosing the right holster and choosing the right belt. Now, one of the biggest updates that I've made this year is my holster system. One of my biggest frustrations over the past few years is every time I get a new gun, especially if it's a gun that I might want to carry inside the waistband, or maybe it's a gun I just want to have fun with at the range, I'm tired of always having to buy a new holster in order to accommodate said gun. And a few years ago, there was a holster that came out from Tier 1 Concealed called the MSP holster, and it was a collaboration they did with the Modern Samurai project. So the MSP holster, it'll fit any handgun that a Surefire X300 will fit on. And what made that cool was you now had a universal IWB holster. So now, no matter what handgun you pick up, unless it's like a subcompact or something where the X300 won't fit on, you can conceal carry with it. But the problem is it made it a little bit of a thicker profile than the Axis Elite, so it would bulge out a little bit more, but that was a small price to pay to get universal fitment. However, the biggest downside to the MSP holster was the fact that not everybody likes X300 lights. In fact, some people just absolutely hate them. I think in the past year or so, Tier 1 has actually updated their MSP line in a bunch of different ways. Now, before we get into what those changes are and those updates, I wanted to make something kind of clear. In 2018, I tried this guy from Tier 1 Concealed. Now, spoiler alert, I've been using Tier 1 Concealed since I got this holster. And as of right now, it's one of the only holsters that I use. They don't sponsor my channel. They don't pay me any money to say anything, just a FYI, but they do send out holsters. If you consider that of making me biased, then that's all on you. However, the one thing that I like to do on this channel is to only recommend things that I personally use in my everyday life. And if something sucks, I also put that on camera. Fortunately, as of this year, Tier 1 has expanded their lineup on their MSP in a few different ways. The first way is they've now expanded the light compatibility. So no longer do you stuck with just the X300. They also have one that will fit the TLR1, TLR1HL. They also have one that fits the Modlite PL350 and the PL350C. Speaking of the X300, I do want to give a big shout out to the guys over at Brownells. If you guys aren't aware, they've been helping our channel out for a long time now. The cool thing is they do have X300s. Now, whenever you want to order one of these, you can choose one of those 4 different lights. However, they didn't stop there. They also came out with an MSP OWB holster. And this is something that I've actually been asking them for ever since the original MSP came out. It's the same exact premise. It's just in OWB form. I have a QLS plate on here, and I am running an HRT belt. I haven't made a full video about this belt. If you guys want to see a video about duty style belts, I will make one, but let me know in the comments. Only reason I haven't made a video on this is I'm not the most knowledgeable about duty belts. I'm still learning. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. So what makes this setup kind of cool now is you can go from concealed carry, right, with the same pistol, take it out, put it on your gun belt, and it will fit just perfectly. And you can choose to get this with the Mod Lights, the X300, or the Streamlight TLR1. And what makes that cool is, let's say, for example, you're going to take a training class, right? And in this training class, you want to practice with your concealed carry weapon. However, let's just pretend this class doesn't want you using IWB holsters. So now what you can do is you can simply take this, put your same exact gun into it, and now you can take the class without having to go pick up a ton of different holsters for all your different setups. I thought that was really cool. So essentially, if you run any of those lights and you like to conceal carry with them, these 2 holsters could be the last holsters that you ever have to pick up because they will fit every single gun that has those lights attached to them. Biggest downside to this style OWB holster though is going to be for those of you guys who are actually law enforcement or security that actually use level 2, level 3 type retentions with the buttons and stuff like that. They're not offering it like that. So if that's the way you need to train, then this holster won't be for you. For me, I don't care about those extra layers of protection on the gun coming out of the holster, but some of you might. So that is a downside to this. Another new holster, and this is the one that I am carrying every single day right now, from Tier 1 is called the APX holster. And this one is a collaboration with Point One Tactics. If you don't know who they are, just look them up on Instagram. They're a training course. The guy that created it, he wanted to do a collaboration holster with them, and he wanted something that had more adjustability than your typical appendix rigs. So on the gun side of things, there's not a whole lot that's different on here. You still got your stackable pancakes for your wing. All the difference comes over to the mag side. They have this plate right here with all these holes that they're calling their Easy Adjust system. Additionally, this Easy Adjust system has its own dedicated stackable pancake concealment wing on it. They've never had an adjustable concealment claw before on their holsters. Before, they were just molded into the Kydex like this one. Not only can you adjust the stackable claw, but you can also adjust the placement of your belt clip. You can adjust the height, you can adjust the angle, and you can adjust where it is side to side. Additionally, you can adjust the mag carrier up, down, left, right, or you can cant it at whatever angle that your little heart desires that's most comfortable for you. And as of right now, nobody else is doing anything like this. One of the biggest benefits that I've noticed about the APX over all the other holsters is because of this Easy Adjust system here. Don't worry, this gun is clear. I'm not aiming a loaded gun at my head. If you compare the Axis Elite to the new APX holster, you'll notice the mag carrier is pushed down or further into your body, much more so than on the Axis Elite. And that results in better concealability because it's now closer to your body. So before we move on to what I'm gonna be changing about the gun setup, let's go over how each of these holsters conceals. Everything from the Axis Elite, the MSP, and the APX. All right, so I have the APX holster with my MR920P, my +5 mag extension, and I'm wearing this red shirt because as you can see, this red shirt shows shadows a lot. So if I was printing, you'd definitely be able to see those shadows. But as you can see, I'm just wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and I can conceal carry just fine. There is a little bit of a bulge in the front there just because of the way that these holsters work, but it's not bad at all. But let me show you the MSP holster. So this is actually my Springfield Echelon. Got a bunch of stuff on it. I don't really carry this gun because it's full size, but let's just pretend. Spare mag, it's not the right mag, but you get the gist. This will go in, so there it is. Conceals exactly the same. As I mentioned, this one is a little bit more frumpier in the front, but hey, like if you're standing up straight, nobody's really gonna notice that bad. They'll just think you're a little pregnant, I don't know. But as I mentioned, this one is a little bit thicker, so it is gonna look a little bit different. But the plus side to this holster, as I mentioned, is if you get the MSP OWB holster, you can go straight from that one, go straight to that one, clip that onto your belt and go. Now, if we compare that with the Axis Elite that's already been out for a few years, I will say, yeah, the Axis Elite sits flatter than I would say on the APX, but then again, I do have a wedge on both of them. I think because this magazine is pushed backwards more, yes, it sucks in more, but this one, I might need to change the wedge on this because this wedge is actually a little bit too thick. But yeah, you're walking around at Walmart, nobody's the wiser. Now, in case you saw these little wedges here on the back side of these holsters, I'll explain them real quick. These are stick-on wedges. They come in different sizes. You can get them like kind of wide like this, or you can get them a little bit thinner like this, and you can get them where they stick out further or they don't stick out as much. And these are concealment wedges that Tier 1 has. I cut this one because when I got, all I had left was these big ones, and I didn't like how far they stuck out, so I just cut it with a razor knife. They really take the gun and they push it back like this into your body, making it more concealable. They're an optional add-on. You don't have to pick them up, but I have some links over the list if you guys want to check this out. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I said that if you want to make concealed carry one of the best experiences ever, you need a good holster and a good belt. I already talked about holsters. Now let's talk about belts. So the belt that I've been using the longest over the past few years is this guy from a company called Next Belt. So I bought this and I have been very impressed ever since I got it. It's very similar to the Core Essentials system that has the ratcheting. Also, it has the sizing on here. So when you order this, You cut this to whatever your size is. But the thing I loved about this belt was it was no fuss, no muss. And what I mean is you simply cut it to your size, you put it on. If you need to sit down in like a car or something like that, you can simply press this little button here and adjust the belt outward however you see fit. Now the front of this buckle is designed for appendix carry holsters that use 2 clips. When Core Essentials would come out with a belt, this isn't the case anymore, but this was a couple of years ago, their belt buckles were too wide to fit between these 2 clips right here. And the buckles weren't too wide on the front side, they were too wide on the back side where you couldn't see it. And the downside to that was you couldn't adjust your gun left or right to find the most comfortable position, so your only other option was to turn the buckle all the way to the side, which I'm not the biggest fan of doing, but hey, if that's how you do it, that's how you do it. I believe Next Belt came out with this first, and then Core Essentials upgraded, but I could be wrong about that. I got this belt in, I believe, 2021, and you can see it is still insanely rigid. Not only that, but it's molded to my body in the shape of my hips. And if you're wearing more business attire with like say some slacks or some khakis, they do have different colors. And not only that, but it looks clean enough where you can pull it off and dress your clothes. The only downside to the belts like this is the buckle does protrude a little bit. And especially if you like to keep your buckle in the front, when you have it in front of the holster and it's pressing against your body, it can give you a little bit more of a protrusion at the waistline than say the next belt that we're gonna talk about in a minute. These belts can be picked up for about 69 bucks and I think free shipping and stuff like that. I'll have some links over at the parts list if you want to check them out. So they're fairly priced and they seem to work very well. Now, although this is an awesome belt and I still recommend it and I still carry it to this day, there are some other ones that I've tried that you might like a little bit better. So the next belt that I tried is actually, again, from Tier 1 Concealed. I'll be honest, I'm a Tier 1 Concealed fanboy. As I mentioned, they don't sponsor me or pay me any money to say this stuff. They do send the stuff out, but I'll be real with you, I can afford to buy this stuff. So if they didn't send it to me, I'd still buy it. Now this is called the EDC belt. This is a totally different concept than say the next belt. This one keeps the rigid part here in the front, and then the rest of it here is very flexible. So when you're sitting and standing, you don't have to adjust your belt to accommodate. It'll simply do it on the fly. This portion of it here is adjustable in sizing and they use a little hook right there. And then you have these 3 little slots right here that hook can go into so you can do quicker, easier, faster adjustments on the fly. Now, I had a few worries about this, and I've been using this belt for over a year now. My first worry was it wasn't gonna be stiff enough back here, and therefore my pants might start falling. And I gotta be honest, fortunately, none of those concerns ever came up. Although this thing looks like it won't be very sturdy in holding your gun up, it actually is. I'll actually roll some B-roll so you can see what it looks like. It holds my gun just as equally as more rigid belts. And what's good about that is some of these belts, depending on who you are and your biological makeup, when they're too rigid on the backside, they can dig into your hip bones and start pinching nerves, causing numbness, and sometimes even causing back pain. This one didn't do that to me particularly, but I have had belts in the past that were just too stiff and wouldn't break in. And when that edge right here digs into your hip, it can hurt. So it just depends on who you are and what your physiology looks like. But this one doesn't have any of those problems. The biggest downsides to this belt is one, if you're gonna tuck your shirt in, or if you're wearing more business casual attire, this is not gonna be the right belt for you. The second biggest problem with this belt is you're gonna be limited on how you can carry. This is designed just for appendix carry. So if you carry strong side or 430 position, it's not gonna work for you. The other downside to this is it is more expensive than the next belt, 115-ish bucks or so. To me, I think this belt's worth the money, but for you, it might not be. I'm not telling you not to get it. I'm not telling you to go get it. I'm just telling you what my experience is. With that said, between these 2 belts, because I get to dress casual all the time, I find myself wearing this one much more than I wear this one. When I do have to wear something that is a little bit more dressed up, I will put this belt on, but this one just seems to be the most comfortable, at least for me. Now, these belts are great if you like to wear pants with belt loops. But what if you like to wear joggers? How do you carry a gun then? Well, fortunately, in the past couple of years, there have been some various solutions coming out to help people carry, especially girls that wear yoga pants or guys that like to wear joggers, or maybe you're just not a fan of belts. These might be some viable options for you. First one I want to talk about is one from a company called Leisure Carry. Now they did send these out to me. I asked them to so we could test them. And these are essentially a clip-on belt. This one is a 14.5 inch in width. You'd choose this based on how big you are, as well as how much adjustability you want to, for positioning the gun. And then this one is the 11.5 inch. So for example, this is the more narrow version here, and you can adjust this about that much versus the larger one, which gives you more adjustability. And these are not made out of leather. It looks like leather when you're looking at it, but it's not quite as hard and brittle as plastic, but it's not as soft and pliable as leather can be, because leather will soften as you use it. And so these are made of a material called biothane, which in simple terms is a type of nylon webbing material. Now what they do is on each side of these, they are using ulti clips. And the ulti clips simply clip onto the front of your pants. So they go inside of the waist, inside of the pants, and they clip on. Then you can take your setup here. It will clip into place just perfectly. Now, as you can see, look at how well that conceals, and it hides very well. I was initially worried that this would not be rigid at all because obviously the pants you're wearing. And as you can see, I can move around. This actually is a little bit tighter against my body than with my standard type of belts. This thing just really sticks it to you. It doesn't move unless you want it to. I'm actually very surprised at how well this system works. Then when you want to take it off, you just undo your ulti clips and it can come off as an entire unit. Now with that being said, I'll be honest with you, I have not carried with these much. I've only carried with them for maybe about a month. If I add up the days that I've carried with them, it's only been about a month or so. So I can't speak on the durability of these over time, but I will be able to speak on that in the next EDC update in the future. Now, one of the things about these is they say you can put them on joggers. I have a couple pairs of joggers. I tried them on them. It just didn't quite feel right to me. I felt like, although it clipped on and it concealed very well, it had nothing to do with this system itself being flawed. It had to do with the elastic on my joggers apparently just isn't strong enough to keep the gun in place. And the elastic isn't weakened or anything. It's just when you're carrying an appendix rig, these can be a bit heavy at times. I didn't find it to be the best for joggers with that type of setup, but if you're carrying something like a subcompact with just a single holster, it might work better. Now the next belt that I have actually does work well with joggers. In fact, this works well with any types of clothes that you're wearing. This is from a company called Comfort Concealment, and this is their blackout belt. It doesn't look like much when you first look at it. It's just a Velcro, not stretchy, but it is a flexible material. And then on the front here where it has this logo, this is made out of like a rubber that is very sticky. And what I mean by sticky, not sticky to the touch, but like if you put pressure on it, it won't slide very much. And the reason that that rubber is there is when you have this on and it's pressed against that, it won't move around easily, but you can move it to adjust it. Let me show you what it looks like while it's on. So with this, they have different sizes. The website explains, how to choose the sizes. And you simply just put it on, and then you're gonna move this over to the side like this to bring the rubber to the front. Now, I have to unbutton my pants to do this, so I'm not gonna show you my giblets. So once it's fully on, you simply put it underneath your pants, and that belt is on the inside of my belt line. Now this one has a couple of pros and cons depending on who you are. This one, I've noticed that when you have that belt all the way around on the inside of your belt line, it makes your pants tighter. You always need to kind of size up a little bit to compensate for the size of the gun and the holster system. However, with this one, it adds another layer of thickness. And so it does make my pants a little bit tighter. However, the cool part about this is it works the best with joggers because your gun isn't hanging on the elastic. Don't worry, I'm not gonna flash you guys, but as you can see, it is simply attached to the belt. So when you're moving, it doesn't matter if you're wearing underwear over it. You could simply carry in chonies if you chose to, which is kind of crazy. So as of right now, where I sit with these types of belts that allow you to carry in essentially your underwear or sweats, now both of these go underneath your pants, at least on the back side of your belt line. The biggest pro to this one is it doesn't add as much thickness to the inside of your waistline. So if your pants are a little bit more tight, these might fit a little bit better. This one, as I mentioned, because the thickness goes all the way around your waistline, it adds a little bit of dimensions to say your hips or your waist. But I think that this one is the most versatile. And what I mean by that is, even if you're wearing jeans and you want to say wear a regular belt around your jeans that has a buckle on the front because you're tucking your shirt in, this one is truly tuckable versus this one isn't truly tuckable. And the best part is this one's about $20 less expensive than the leisure carry. These are about $39.99 and these are $59.99. So depending on who you are, one might work better than the other. So now that we've talked about the holster setup and the belt setup, let's talk about the pistol setup because I am changing that one as well. So now let's move over to the pistol and what I'm switching to and what I'm switching from. So for the past couple of years, I have been carrying, this is the MR920 War Poet. And I got this in, I believe, early summer, late spring of 2021. And I've been carrying it ever since. It's been 100% reliable. And it's honestly, because of the way the grip is molded and everything, I'm just typically better with this than I am, say, like a standard Glock. Now, I'm not gonna go into all the details about this. I have a dedicated video. If you wanna check out that video, I'll put a link either on this side or this side. I forget which side I'm pointing to. However, this past spring, they came out with this one here, and this is essentially the same gun. This is an MR920 Elite, but this is the P model that has the integrated compensator on it. As you can see, it's a non-threaded barrel. I've gone into all the details about this. If you want to know more about this in all its glory, I do have a dedicated video for this that I published not too long ago. I think I titled it, "This Gun Deletes Recoil." And that's part of the reason why I like this, is it's just as reliable as your standard MR920P or War Poet or whichever one you get. It has all the same features. The only difference is this one has an integrated compensator. And what's great about it is to pick this gun up is exactly the same price as, say, getting a Gen 5 Glock 19. Let's just pretend this gun is completely stock, you know, minus the red dot, magwell, and trigger. And then if you were to add the Radian Afterburner, which I have done videos on in the past, these are not cheap. I believe these are around 400-ish or so. You can get them for a lot less with different types of codes and stuff. I'll have more info at the parts list if you want to check these out. But if you were to get just a standard stock Glock and this Radian Afterburner, you would be at the same price as one of these. And what's crazy about that is this one has a better slide, has a better barrel, has a better trigger, and better sights than a stock Glock. So that's kind of why I like this so much. Now, one thing I might change on here is this one has a Trijicon RMR that I had put on it, and I wanna switch to one of these, the Holosun EPS. But I like this EPS here, the Holosun EPS, because they're enclosed. Now, a lot of people like enclosed emitters because they're worried about moisture. Here's why I like them. Whenever I'm carrying this inside the waistband, if you carry with a red dot inside the waistband, you know what I'm talking about. Every single day, you gotta clean out the inside of this lens because all your tummy lint and stuff gets inside there. And it's not the biggest deal in the world. Like you train to shoot a red dot by superimposing a dot, not by looking through the window. But with this one, you don't get that. So I ordered another EPS and I'm gonna put it onto this gun right here. They typically come with Magpul PMags. Nothing against Magpul PMags. I just prefer OEM mags. They seem to be the most reliable for me and my purposes. And I carry a flush mag in the gun with one in the pipe. Then I carry another standard capacity mag with a +5 extension on it. These are from Shield Arms. Been using them since 2018 on various different guns. I've never had a problem with these extensions, except in the last year's EDC update. I noticed that this always touching my abdomen allowed some sweat to get into here, and it ended up rusting the inside of the mag. That is because I carried that same mag for like years and years and years, and the salt from my sweat rusted it out. And I'm glad I checked this, because when I started emptying the rounds, it would get stuck. So I'm glad I didn't have to like defend my life and then have to change a magazine to defend my life, because that would have been a bad situation. So always check your EDC setup. Now, when it comes to lights, there are two lights that I prefer for concealed carry. This is the holster I've been carrying, the APX that we talked about earlier. I ordered this one to fit with the Enforce Wild 1. The Enforce Wild 1 is about 500-ish lumens, uses a CR123A battery. I like the way these paddles work right here. I've just noticed over the years, I just prefer hitting a paddle from the side on either side versus pushing down with the finger or down with the thumb. Now, this is the other one I like. This is the Streamlight TLR 7X. They also have the new TLR 7X HL. Have not tried it yet. But between these are my go-to lights for concealed carry. But in this case, because I ordered the holster for the Enforce Wild 1, I'm gonna put it onto this gun. Now, with this holster, I will be honest, I ordered this holster incorrectly. You'll notice that the bottom side of this isn't very smooth like the tops. The bottom side is kind of jagged. That's because I cut this holster. I ordered it incorrectly. And what I mean is I basically ordered it to fit a Glock 17 with a comp instead of a Glock 19 with a comp. And so I trimmed it down so that even with the comp won't protrude out and send your biscuits. If you've ever shot a comp hot and then had it where it protruded out the end and then reholstered, you may have got a little burn on your ding ding. So speaking of holsters, earlier in the video, I was talking about, you know, I like to carry with an extra mag carrier, but what if you're the kind of person that only wants to carry with just this? And maybe you wanna carry an extra mag, but you don't really wanna tuck it in your belt line. This isn't a new product, but this is a great product. This is the OG Neo Mag. And essentially what it does is, as long as your magazines are metal lined or made of metal at all, it has a magnet that'll stick right here. You can simply align this to go into your pocket, and then I'll show you some B-roll footage of what it looks like. But it just looks like a standard pocket knife in your pocket. It depending on the mags you're using though, you know, with these thicker mags, it will kind of have a little bit of a bulge. I don't prefer to carry that way, but that doesn't mean that these aren't good systems. I gotten this, somebody gave me this. It wasn't Neo Mag, but a buddy of mine gave me this. And I tried it and I think it's awesome if you carry that way. I just don't prefer to carry that way, but let's talk about the knives real quick. So I have two new knives that I have been carrying for the past few months. One of them is very affordable and one of them is not affordable. I usually try to cycle through new knives every other EDC update or so. In my last EDC update, I tried this really cheap knife from a company called Civivi. I forgot the exact model of it. I will have links over at the parts list where you can check all this stuff out in case you want, if you're looking for something, as I mentioned earlier. But this one's called the Civivi X1 and it has a Warncliffe style blade. Although it's a Warncliffe style blade, Civivi calls it a reverse Tonto. This is a Nitro V steel. Pretty good. It's easy to sharpen. I put it on the sharpener a few times and they got different colors. They got like a hunter green and some other stuff, but I just wanted to go with something black. It does have a deep carry pocket clip, so you have no problems with that, but it just looks dead sexy. It's not too small, it's not too large, it's just like a Goldilocks type pocket knife for me. I've been using it on just basically a bunch of cardboard boxes around the house. Not just cutting the tape, but actually cutting the boxes. Does a fantastic job. The next knife is a new OTF that came out a few months ago from Kershaw. This is an American-made knife, and this is called the Kershaw Livewire, I believe it's called. And they have different colors. They also have different blade styles. This one has a Tonto on it, and they have different washes on the blades. It's not cheap. It's about 240 bucks. Not a huge deal because I believe I paid a little bit more than 300 for my Microtech Ultratech here that has this dagger style blade on it. But in the hand, it is lighter weight than the Microtech. It doesn't have the glass breaker. I do like that the Kershaw, it does have a deep pocket carry style clip, whereas the Microtech doesn't. The other good thing about the Kershaw versus the Microtech is the Microtech, you can't take it apart without a specific type of tool. So basically it's not user serviceable. Whereas this one from Kershaw is user serviceable. I haven't put these through any types of torture test or anything, but I would say they're fairly comparable to one another. Both of them have very little blade play. It's not bad at all. I will say they got about the same tension on the buttons. I do believe the Microtech has better jimping on the buttons, so when you're pushing, it really grips. I'm not saying to go get this. I'll have links at this if you want them, but that's the knives I'm carrying right now. I do find myself, however, carrying these Civivi knives. Like I said, I found them about a year or so ago. Been carrying this other model that I have. I just find this to be a really good knife for the price. For my wedding band, I have one of these little guys from Groove Life. I don't wear regular wedding bands. In fact, I rarely wear this, which is why it's actually in the 10 still. I'm not a ring person by any stretch of the imagination, but I am married. A lot of times in my videos, people are like, why aren't you wearing your wedding ring? I just don't wear rings. And especially when I didn't have one of these flexible rings, I had a regular standard wedding band that I would sometimes wear. But the downside to a standard ring is you break your finger, you might have to get your finger amputated to get the ring off. I mean, not always, but It's possible. So I like these because they're like 20, 30 bucks. You replace them if you lose them. They're not expensive. They got all these different colors. And you don't, because I work with my hands and I'm at the range all the time, I like having something that's not gonna be a bear to get off if I accidentally break my finger or something like that. For my keys, I have now updated my key ring. I used to use the key bar right here. And I found these guys. I was actually at, I think, Shields or something one day, and I saw these in there and I was like, I'm gonna buy one of these. This is the Ridge, people that make the Ridge wallets. They make a cool little key organizer, and I liked it because it was a lot smaller than the key bar. I like it because it's a little bit lower profile. I like the pocket clip that's on here. It's closer towards the top than the one on the key bar. And honestly, I just love it to death. I just have a couple of keys and a flash drive on it. Totally worth the money. They have all kinds of different colors. I'll have some links over to this if you want to check that out. But that's what I'm doing for my keys now. For my flashlight, I don't always carry a flashlight because, well, my phone has a flashlight on it. But sometimes I do want to carry a flashlight. And one of the biggest problems I've had about carrying flashlights is I don't like how they're round and they protrude out of your pocket. And so a couple of years ago, I picked up this guy. This is the original Streamlight Wedge, and I didn't like it because of the size of it. I mean, this thing is, you put this next to a Microtech Ultratech, and it's way bigger than a Microtech. And so it was just a little bit too big, and I didn't like the type of switch that was on it. I think you pull it out, I forget the lumens, but it's on a low mode, and then you got to press and hold it forward to get higher lumens, and if you let go, you just don't. It is USB-C rechargeable, but I just didn't like this. And then, so fortunately, Streamlight came out with a smaller version called the Wedge XT. Yeah, they sent it to me. No, they don't pay to be in these videos or anything, and they don't know what I'm gonna say about it. Still USB-C rechargeable. Good news is now you have a battery indicator right here. I forget the exact lumen output. I'll annotate it on the screen, but one click gets you a low mode, double click gets you a higher mode, and press and hold gets you momentary, or you could double click and hold, and that'll also get you the brighter lumens, also with momentary. This is something that I'll actually carry in my pockets if I feel the need to. So I love this to death. This is way nicer than this. You know what I mean? That thing is absolutely huge. And I have only had to charge it once. I've had it for about 3 or 4 months now. And like I said, I don't carry it a lot, but then again, I don't leave the house a lot. I'm kind of a homebody. So I've used it around the house quite a few times, and I have not had to charge it yet. So I don't know what the battery life is gonna be like in the real world, but it's lasted for a long time. If you 5-tap this, it'll lock it out so you don't get negligent discharges in your pocket. So that's kind of cool. For my wallet, I am using one from 511 Tactical. I believe they make them in this black multicam, and they also make them, but it's a simple bifold wallet, and it's RFID blocking. That part's cool. And it is a lot slimmer than the leather wallets that I used to carry, and a lot lighter weight. I don't like front pocket wallets. I got enough stuff in my front pockets, like knives and phones and stuff. Pretty cool. I don't remember what they cost, but they're not badly priced. The next thing I have for my phone, still carrying the Galaxy S23 Ultra with the Urban Arming Gear case on it. I am still using the Upside app. I'm not gonna go into all the details. I've done that in previous videos, but it's an app you use every time you wanna get gas. Now, obviously, Upside does not even know who I am. They don't pay me for these videos or anything like that. But the way this works, you simply go to the gas station, you open the app, you turn on your location so you can check in, and they'll be like, oh, say the gas is $4 a gallon at gas station. And they're like, you can get it there for $3.50. So you pay the full price, and then they will pay you back the difference between, you know, the 50 cents a gallon back to you, and then you can transfer it to your bank account. I've been using this since the end of 2022, and I've had a lifetime earnings of $12,403 sent back to me from getting gas. So I have a link over this if you want to check it out. They don't know who I am. They don't sponsor me or nothing, but it has been a lifesaver, especially using the truck that only gets 12 miles to the gallon. For my sunglasses, been using these since I believe 2019. These are from Core Essentials. They don't pay me to either. They did send me the glasses a couple years ago, and I absolutely love them. The main thing I love about them is not only are they polarized, not only are they ballistics rated so I can use them at the range, my biggest thing that I love about them is they're magnetic. But the magnetism only goes outward away from your head. It doesn't come into your head. But the reason I like that is they clip together, and you can attach them to your sleeve if you want, instead of hanging them from your collar. Also, they have a little strap that comes with them that goes on your visor, and you don't got to worry about strapping it. It's magnetic. You just pop it up and it's in there. These, I believe, are not cheap. I think they're about $150-ish. I could be wrong about that, but they've been an absolute lifesaver for me, especially going to the range and for getting eye pros sometimes, because I live in Arizona, it's always sunny, I'm always wearing sunglasses. Now, another set that I've been testing as of recently is Vortex Optics just came out with a new line of glasses. They sent me a couple of pair. I keep one in the truck as a backup. They are ballistics rated, and not only that, they have all these different frames and stuff, but I will say I've gotten very spoiled on this magnetic feature. So I do wear these. I would put these almost in the same category in regards to, like, you know, cool glasses that you can wear that you can also wear at the range. But these are my go-tos. And what's funny about that is I don't get any payments from Core Essentials. I don't have any affiliate links, nothing. But Vortex, I could create affiliate links for this to make a little extra money, but I'm still recommending these because I like the magnetic feature. Not that these are bad. These are just better. For the watches, I've been cycling through about 4 of them. For my budget beater watch, this is the G-Shock GA 1200-ish. I don't remember the exact model name. I'll have a link over this if you want to check it out. These come in a ton of different colors. They're only about $80-ish, and they're rugged and they're tough. And yeah, it's kind of a no fuss, no muss. I recently picked up this guy. This is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. Honestly, the only reason I bought this is for the heart rate monitor. It's actually quite accurate, and I was doing some exercises that required a heart rate monitor, and I started looking up heart rate monitoring stuff, and then everything required a chest strap and stuff, and they were like $150, and I was like, man, that's a lot of money for just a heart rate monitor. So I looked up the accuracy results on the Galaxy, and everybody at the time, this is over a year ago now, said that the Watch 5 Pro not only had one of the best heart rate monitors, but also had the best battery life. So I ordered it, and I sometimes wear this. It's not often. I don't like that being on me all the time. The next watch I use, this is something I wear when I'm going out with the lady. I'll also have a couple of others that I'm not really worried about, but this is Seiko SRPD 79. It is made of PVD and it comes with a NATO strap. I like this automatic watch, so if you don't shake it every day or so, it will go dead. I like dive watches just because I kind of geek out on them, but that's one watch. And then the other watch that I got that's kind of virtually indestructible, I got this a couple of years ago. It was from a company called ISO Bright, and I forgot the model number, but I'll have that over to list. I changed the strap on it to this green strap. It's getting kind of dirty. I might change it again. But this one has, can't really see it in here, but has tritium in all the dials up there, and they have different colors and stuff. And this thing has been, I've banged this thing on the corner of the tailgate of my truck, and it's not even scratched. So of all these watches, I will say, even with the G-Shock, this ISO Bright is tougher. So that's what I'm using for my watches. Let me show you real quick how I set everything up when I'm getting ready to go somewhere. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the belt that I've been using the most over the past year is the EDCS belt from Tier 1 Concealed. So the first thing, as I grab that, I stick it in my pants with the mags, everything loaded, ready to go. Then I grab the wallet, that goes in the back. Then I grab my sunglasses. As I mentioned earlier, I like that these can simply clip onto my sleeve. I don't like having them here on the front because sometimes my kids want me to pick them up and hold them, and then they crush my glasses. So keeping them here keeps them a lot safer. Grab the knife. That'll go in this pocket. Phone, gonna go in this pocket. Now, I can't really show you this because I have a microphone right here, but then I will definitely grab my keys and I'll clip them in just like a knife. And then if I need to carry a light, I will clip that into the same pocket. So that's my EDC setup, guys. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions down in the comments section. But if you want to know more about this guy right here, I have a complete video that goes into the good, the bad, and the ugly about these. And if it is something you're looking into getting on these MR920Ps, you definitely want to watch that video first. But until next time, guys, I love you. You guys stay sexy.